Carol Malti, a rising star in the adult entertainment world, seemed destined for success, but her life ended in one of the most disturbing true crime cases in recent years. Born in 1995 with Italian and Dutch roots, Carol grew up in Sesto Conda, Italy, with a passion for dancing, horseback riding, and travel. At 20, she became a mother, balancing school, work, and family before the pandemic brought financial struggles. Turning to OnlyFans, she quickly gained success but also isolation, criticism, and complicated relationships. By 2021, Carol was deeply entangled with 42-year-old banker David Fontana, who became possessive and controlling while profiting from her career. Despite their arrangement, Carol fell in love with another man, Salvatore, and dreamed of leaving the industry to start fresh with him and reunite with her son. But David's jealousy and obsession took a deadly turn. On the 11th of January 2022, Carol agreed to film what she believed was a fan-requested video involving bondage. In reality, David himself had created the request as part of a premeditated plan. During filming, he struck her with a hammer, then slit her throat, claiming it was an act of mercy. For months, he stored her body in a freezer, dismembered it into 18 parts, and eventually dumped them in garbage bags off a cliff in Borno. To cover his tracks, he impersonated her online, paying rent, posting photos, and replying to friends and family. The gruesome discovery of her remains led investigators to Fontana, who eventually confessed. Prosecutors revealed his plot was driven by jealousy and greed. Carol's plans to leave him meant he would lose both control and income. Despite the brutality, in June 2023, Fontana was sentenced to 30 years in prison and ordered to pay compensation to Carol's child and family. Carol's tragic story exposes the dark side of obsession, exploitation, and the adult industry. Courtney Clenny, a glamorous OnlyFans creator and Instagram influencer, seemed to have it all. Millions of followers, millions earned, and the image of a perfect life. But behind the filters, her world was far darker. On the 3rd of April 2022, her boyfriend, Christian Toby Obumseli, was fatally stabbed in their Miami luxury apartment, sparking one of the most shocking cases in recent years. Born in Texas in 1996, Courtney grew up privileged and athletic, later dropping out of college to pursue fitness and social media fame. Toby, born in 1994, was ambitious, family-oriented, and deeply kind. Their romance began like a fairy tale in 2020, but soon turned toxic. Friends and neighbors described frequent violent fights, often fueled by Courtney's drinking. Police were called several times, and texts revealed she had stabbed Toby before. Still, he stayed, hoping she would change. That April afternoon, another argument spiraled into violence. Courtney stabbed Toby in the chest, the blade piercing just above a tattoo of her name. Instead of calling 911 immediately, she phoned her mother, delaying help. By the time paramedics arrived, Toby was gone. Courtney insisted she acted in self-defense, but evidence told a different story. The wound's angle suggested a deliberate strike, not a thrown knife. She bore no defensive injuries. Audio recordings and texts painted her as the aggressor and Toby as the victim. In August 2022, Courtney was arrested in Hawaii and charged with second-degree murder. For Toby's grieving family, it was justice long overdue. His tragic death exposed the overlooked reality of men as victims of domestic abuse. Once adored by millions, Courtney now faces decades in prison. Michaela, 31, a mother of 3, ran an OnlyFans and stripper entertainment business with her husband, Brandon Ryerson. Their adult world turned fatal in April 2023 when client Michael Dale requested extreme fetishes, paying $11,000 for women's boots glued to his feet and to be bound like a mummy. Michaela met him at his new Escondido home, where he appeared heavily intoxicated. Hours later, she called 911 after finding him unresponsive. Michael was discovered with boots glued to his feet, wrists bound, eyes glued shut, duct tape over his mouth, and a bag over his head secured with cling film, leaving him no chance of escape. Disturbingly, investigators found videos on Michaela's phone showing her filming explicit OnlyFans content while Michael showed signs of distress. Reports suggest the bag was over his head for at least 8 minutes. He was declared brain dead the next day, his death ruled as asphyxiation. For nearly 2 years, Michaela lived freely until February 2025, when she was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Prosecutors argue there is no proof Michael consented to the bag being placed, and even if he had, Michaela's active role and failure to ensure safety were undeniable. Her defense claims she never intended harm and acted once she realized he was in danger. Now held without bail, Michaela pleads not guilty while Brandon remains supportive. Was this a fantasy gone wrong, or reckless negligence crossing into murder? Once celebrated for her beauty on Beauty and the Geek Australia, 34-year-old Tama Chessa is now infamous for one of South Australia's most shocking crimes. In June 2025, police discovered the dismembered and burned remains of her partner, 39-year-old Julian Story, inside their Port Lincoln apartment. His head was missing, and despite extensive searches, it has never been found. Tamika Suan Rose Chessa grew up facing instability and trauma. By 20, she was a national TV personality, finishing runner-up on Beauty and the Geek. The fame led to modeling spreads in Playboy and FHM, later evolving into a large social media presence and an OnlyFans account. But behind the glamour, her family described a woman plagued by long-standing mental health struggles. Julian, a Port Lincoln local, had his own troubles with the law but was known as a kind man with deep community ties. In early 2025, he began living with Tama. By June, neighbors noticed her behaving erratically, shaved head, eccentric outfits, and aimless walks through town. Investigators believe Julian was killed around midnight on June 17. 2 days later, firefighters responded to a blaze at the couple's unit. Inside, they discovered Julian's mutilated remains. The scene was described as one of the most horrifying in memory. A neighbor who entered first thought he saw rags on the bathroom floor, until realizing it was Julian's burned body. Fire crews later found Tama in the backyard, catatonic and unresponsive. She was arrested on the spot. Authorities charged her with murder, interference with human remains, and assaulting an officer. Held at James Nash House, a forensic mental health facility, she awaits trial in December 2025. Police have appealed for information about her movements between June 17 and the location of Julian's missing head. Abby Choi, a 28-year-old Hong Kong model and socialite, was known for her glamorous lifestyle, charity work, and growing online presence. Though not exclusively an OnlyFans creator, she had shared content on subscription platforms, further boosting her profile. In February 2023, her name made global headlines not for her fame, but for her shocking murder. On February 24, police launched a search after Abby went missing. Days later, investigators discovered her dismembered remains inside a rural house in Lung Mei Suan. In the kitchen, they found a refrigerator holding body parts and soup pots containing human tissue, gruesome details that horrified Hong Kong and the world. Authorities confirmed that some of the remains had been cooked. The investigation quickly pointed to Abby's ex-husband, Alex Kwong, and members of his family. Police alleged the killing was meticulously planned, involving rented properties to conceal evidence. The suspected motive was financial, ongoing disputes over luxury apartments and significant sums of money. Abby had been supporting her ex-husband's family even after their divorce, but tensions escalated into a deadly conflict. Her murder shocked the city not only because of its brutality but also because of who she was, a young mother of 4, a public figure admired for her style, and someone whose future appeared bright. The case sparked conversations about greed, betrayal, and the hidden dangers behind seemingly perfect lives online. Today, the trial of her alleged killers remains one of Hong Kong's most closely followed cases, serving as a chilling reminder that even lives lived in luxury can end in unimaginable tragedy.